Time. Let's find out. We're jumping straight into the game. Cypher and Evil are ready. First map, Blood Run, should be followed by Cure. Let's see how this progresses. We have the red plasma yellow spawn for Evil. Gonna get himself the rail as well. So Cypher's missing that rail right now, and Evil's missing the LG. So let's see if they're gonna decide to go for those before the red, or if it's just gonna be position at red. So far, Cypher's got better position for the item, for the weapons. Evil can finally get that LG, and you can see he values that and position for Mega more. That's a great call by Evil. Very smart choice. And there Cypher is above him. And so far, it's a relatively even game where Evil's going to have a slight edge because he's going to have an exact time on the Mega. And he's going to have, of course, the Mega. So he does have a slight advantage here. But it's not insurmountable by any means. Some good little bits of splash there as Cypher's trying to get that yellow. And can Evil hit the rail? That would be huge. Oh, wow, a little bit of a combo as well with the rocket to rail. Very good start there. And oh, he hits the one as Cypher goes up to the red as well. That's really, really painful. Cypher's red basically negated if you factor in the fact that Evil hit the rail as Cypher was rocket jumping. That's 80 and probably around 20, so that red is gone. So Evil is just keeping himself at 200 while stealing a lot of damage. Cypher is very weak right now, quite vulnerable. Let's see if Evil can catch him. There he goes, he does spot him. He doesn't need this red. Oh, what a beautiful vertical rail there from Evil too. Gonna go for the drop in the pursuit here through the telly. Not quite sure if he wants to jump straight through there. Does back away onto the red. So Cypher has to play very well out of control here, because Evil so far has really been hitting his shots. Gonna make his way back through to this grenade deck area. Onto the shards, spot Cypher, a nice bit of damage. Every little bit of damage onto Cypher is really important from Evil, as he's getting all the items here. That war of attrition, you know, definitely going in the favor of Evil. Starving out Cypher as he deals damage, but that double grenade, oh my goodness, as well as the pickup of the yellow mid-fight, allows Cypher to somehow win it. And the grenades, you can just never count on what's going to happen there. And that time it really helped Cypher right out there, getting that Mega as well off of that kill. And now he even gets a chance of pressure, but Evil is taking the risk, sticking around, hitting the shots though. And Evil might bring this back around full circle onto another frag if he keeps up these kinds of shots. Cypher is going to be struggling if Evil lands another rail. It's like Evil's going to force Cypher away from the shards area soon. Cypher looking for that rail. Oh, switching just at the wrong moment. And still just playing it slow. Red up on the spot there as Evil drops down, going for the Mega, but he's in position to damage as Cypher goes up for the red. Oh, he misses the jump onto the red. This could give a free red to Evil now. Oh, that's a huge problem for Cypher. And there's Evil. Look at that. He leaves up the red, kind of throwing off where Cypher expects him to be, and uses it to hit a rail. Very good stuff there from Evil. Oh, and he does it again there, just hitting him straight in the back, just playing the mind games with Cypher. Beautiful stuff there, catching him completely off guard. 1-1. Evil truly deserves that kill. So just taking away some shards there. Taking away the Mega as well. So Evil so far is doing a great job. Question is, how does he continue to make these frags onto Cypher? What is the strategy here? First and foremost, he's thinking about running the items, keeping those away from Cypher. But how can he do that in a way that allows him to get a frag? Cypher's going to be predicting the kind of pattern that Evil will run to try and avoid him. So that's going to be very important right now. If he keeps the correct reads there, but he's actually going to get caught by Evil jumping in towards that Mega as Evil's shooting with LG. That's going to be very, very painful. And Evil gets both Mega and red. Now Cypher is low. A misstep like that can allow Evil to take the frag. He softened Cypher up quite some after that, and Cypher didn't really replenish very much. Evil is taking his time. It's about to hit the halfway mark, and it's still 1-1. Cypher is doing an amazing job keeping himself out of sight. Does get spotted there, but Evil does miss the shot. That's a really important rail to hit there for Evil. That would make this fight so easy, but instead Cypher wins that Mega with good position. Well played by Cypher. Evil really needs this red now. Luckily for him, Cypher's not lurking around. He does opt for the yellow instead. Very good rail to hit there. You can get another one, it'd be a massive bonus. Not going to grab it though. Goes to the kind of prediction. Cypher going towards that grenade deck. Doesn't happen. Cypher playing very slowly. Cannot be found so far. There's the footsteps. There is the rail as well. If he can land another rail, that's going to be amazing. And he hits the shot. He gets the frag as well. 2-1. Very, very strong stuff from Evil so far. Evil just, again, biding his time. Doesn't have to move too much from his position. He knows that LG is wanted by Cypher. He's blocking it right now. Also blocking that yellow. And Cypher's having to work around this. So a really good rail there. And Cypher's going to be really stuck. I mean, Evil could pull out the grenades, but no, he just waits for the rail. And actually, Cypher goes through and takes a rail to the chest. Gets dropped 3-1. 4 minutes left now. And Evil just keeping at, like, doing what he's doing. It's just taking it slow and making sure he gets the major items here. Good rockets. Oh, and he completely blocks that rocket jump. Forces the self-kill onto Cypher, blowing himself up. And Evil missing that rail, but those rockets flying in, almost connecting. The Cypher rockets so deadly. But that time, Evil was able to stay alive. And here we go now. Evil is able to pick up another Mega Health and get himself on position to kind of cut off Cypher. He chooses to go in the center map. Cypher sticking to the outskirts, gets found at the rocket launcher, and he can get out of there if he wants to. Evil does have a good position. And Evil, bit of a missed time on that yellow armor there. This is definitely a way back in for Cypher. He's got Evil pretty low. Everything's about to spawn. This can be a very chaotic moment here for both players. Let's see how this turns out. There goes Cypher. He goes for that red armor. So they go for a split here. Cypher gets red and a yellow. Evil gets mega and a yellow. And here goes Cypher. 2.5 minutes left. Things are starting to get really intense. He's only really got a minute or so to get that first frag. A minute or 2 minutes. Like tops, of course. And there's so little time left. Has to find 3 against Evil. Once you get that first frag, though, you can get the ball rolling. But if your attempt fails, then oftentimes that can be it. You don't get the second chance with this little time left. So Cypher's going to make it count. He gets some great damage there as Evil tries to play a bit of pressure from the top there. Does manage to get a rail as Evil jumps up. The double 25s there, very, very useful for Evil. He's pretty aware at this point that his entire job is just to stay alive. It's to try to keep taking one big item, but he doesn't have to stretch himself beyond that. He wants to keep his good positions alive, so he has very strong defensive options. Cypher's going to be outstacking him. As we jump onto Cypher, we can see that he is indeed very healthy, and Evil vanished, using the sound cues immaculately. Very strong usage of all of the bits of information that he can get his hands on. 1 minute left for Cypher to make 3 frags now. It's going to get harder and harder.
1 minute warning.
Where is Evil? Cypher picks up the next red, but it's got to be about the frag now, surely, as he needs to start putting the speed up. And there he does find Evil around the corner, does take him straight down, and that's 2-0 now as Evil does a self-kill. And here we go, 40 seconds left. Great rail on the corner as Cypher goes for the pursuit. Looking for the next shot. Here goes the read, predicting that Evil's going to go up through to the yellow. And he misses that. Unfortunately, very good prediction, but it wasn't good enough. Going to go up for another rocket jump there. Has to catch Evil. He needs 2 frags. Evil is so silent, not making a single noise. what does Cypher have to work with? He's got to just predict. He's just got to guess right. And Evil is just vanishing. And there it is. Cypher calls GG. Evil's going to take map number 1, Blood Run, in the grand final here for the 7th Sunday Cup of the winter season 2014 with a score of 2-0. And that was a really, really cool game there from both players. They both showed a really strong game. I mean, I'm kind of happy that Evil won because I feel like he played very much better. It wasn't really the case where we're like, oh, Evil just played really, really well in this one moment that was, kind of a game-winning moment. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes you get the moment where it's kind of close, but the other guy can't quite do it, and then you get really lucky, you hit the 5 rails in the game-winning moment or something. It wasn't like that. I mean, both players consistently played really well throughout the entire match, but Evil he just had such a solidness to his game. It's just unshakable. And Cypher now he gets to move into his map, which is Cure. So Evil won his map. Now we move on to Cypher's map. If Cypher loses this, it's going to be very hard. Usually when these two play, usually Cure actually comes out as the 3rd map, and that's usually where Cypher gets the opportunity to turn it around. And that's usually like why we see the 3-0 happening. Because if Cypher loses Cure, I mean, it's really tough for him against Evil. This is really one of his biggest edges against Evil. So we'll see how this turns out. So remember, guys, we have the Quake Live DreamHack Winter 2013 movie, which will be shown after the grand finals. So stay on the stream for that after this match is done. But here we are. We're jumping into map number 2 between Cypher and Evil for this grand final. We're on Cure, and we begin with Evil as he gets the LG spawn. Does hear Cypher grabbing some shards there, so getting a lot of information. And it's about this next red, really. And Evil having that LG first should allow him to have better position for red. And he gets a great prediction on how Cypher wants to attack into red. That is so, so key. This could just shut Cypher out of control and happily secure Evil with control in the opening moment secure here. If he gets a little bit of follow-up damage, Mega spawning, he's going to leave it up. He knows the yellow's coming as well. What is Cypher going to choose, though? Looks like Cypher was just waiting to wait for Evil to make his move. Wait for Evil to commit before he did. Very, very smart. And here's Cypher there, picking up that red armor. Evil trying to be a bit too fancy there, and kind of bit him in the backside as he gave away a major item. And it seems as if Evil is kind of hurting for this yellow now. Really needs this. And there goes Cypher, darting on above him. Cannot really hang around the yellow position too much longer. It's pretty exposed. And Mega and Red are much more important. Cypher going to grab that one. Evil about a second too slow there. And here goes Cypher, but the perfect LG defense from Evil really helps massively, pushing Cypher all the way back. And the stacks should be relatively even after the pickup of the yellow there. Evil should have a more defensive posture here. I'm not sure how he's going to want to attack into this red armor. It's going to be quite hard to deal with. Here goes Cypher with a drop there. Evil's got to be careful. He hasn't got the stack to really drop here unless he gets a really, really good bit of damage. And Cypher actually backs away, allowing him onto that red armor. And this is going to mean that Cypher's going to have to play for the Mega, and he does. And again, Evil's just a tiny bit too slow to capitalize on the bad position of Cypher at the Mega. So very close game so far. Red is coming up, and here comes Cypher right from the yellow area. So Evil, he's really playing it slow. He's giving Cypher a lot of respect here, and just in a lot of situations kind of letting Cypher make a move. And 2.5 minutes gone. We're no closer to really seeing who's in the lead here. They're keeping it close. And there are some footsteps. They were around the top level, it seems. And Evil's going to be able to secure this red. A free red like that can kind of indicate that Cypher feels quite weak at the moment. At least weak on position. You can hear him darting away there. Cypher should have a pretty good stack behind him. And if we switch to Cypher, actually, yeah, he's not doing so well. He is indeed quite weak. And Cypher is very good from these kinds of positions, but it's a very fragile position. There's no mistaking it. A pickup like that, though, that does help out massively. 200 armor. Will Cypher be thinking about using this for an aggression? He knows he's got to be careful because he knows that Evo does have an advantage. But he just has to find a Cypher spot. One of those spots where he gets really sick value out of his engagement. And he's going to go for it with the rockets. Very, very good rockets to begin with. He's got to be careful though, he's getting weak. And there goes the rail for Evil, but Cypher does duck around the corner just in time to evade. Still 0-0. And there goes Evil for the Mega. And Cypher felt committed to pressure. He's feeling that Evil's position was so terrible, but he just didn't have the stack for it. And he does go down. The first big mistake from either player is costing the frag, giving Evil the lead. So Evil now hearing the footsteps again. Oh, great rail there. So good. And Evil again, he's just playing it slow. He really is playing it slow right now. So much respect for Cypher. He knows that if he doesn't move in a very specific way, he can get caught in bad spots with very, very efficient damage dealt by Cypher. That's what Cypher kind of counts on a lot of the time. He wants you to move in spots like this, where he can really abuse a position with the LG, typically, or the rockets, to get really sick damage and then duck away without receiving any himself. So you can see Evil's actively trying to avoid those spots, very, very much so. And Cypher's having a hard time getting to grips with that. And here goes Evil. Sees Cypher committing for the red. There's no escape here. No escape at all. But a lot of damage dealt by Cypher. And that's crazy that he managed to get away alive. And Evil sticking to the rockets throughout the duration of the fight. And the LG is pretty good over there. And nasty bit of an engagement. Oh, and Cypher goes for the double back. Evil was afraid that he was going to go straight for the Mega, but there you go. I mean, a bit of a misstep for Evil not to just count himself lucky, go straight for the red, play it safe. And Cypher now back in the game, and he's back in the game strong. Hits a rail long distance over at the LG. Waiting for Evil to turn the corner, but it's going to be Cypher that moves forward first. And here you go, pulling out the LG. Oh, misses the shot with the rail. And that was an important shot to hit. I mean, look at this. Evil would have died. Wouldn't have gotten this red. Evil stands a strong chance to get this next Mega Health now, though. And with that, he might find a frag. Just waiting now patiently again. Where is Cypher going to appear? Leaving that Mega Health up. There he hears him. But Cypher hears him as well, and going for that red armor. Evil can fall back onto the Mega, and oh, he doesn't have to. That last rocket was amazing. Hits Cypher straight in the head, and that's going to be 2-1 now. Evil scoring the second frag in the 6th minute. Going to be able to pick up that Mega Health, and he's in a very, very good shape right now. He is looking fine and dandy as Cypher gets pushed away out of the red armor spot. And Evil is looking very strong at the moment. Cypher missing a rail there. And that position can cost you a lot of time. It takes quite a long time to get anywhere from that position. So Evil can make inferences on that onto Cypher's where he could be and when. But Cypher went all the way around through the yellow, back towards that Mega Health area. Does get the pickup, and without being able to pressure at all, Evil, he is feeling still pretty okay with this red situation. Problem is that with 3 minutes left, his lead is very fragile, and Cypher keeps getting better position. Cypher has a better position again here. Evil's feeling quite good about this. Oh, nasty rocket received there. Good play from Cypher, pushing Evil into the corner. Evil's got to dodge his way out of that one. Oh, and he barely manages to do so. How does he find the kill as well? Cypher trying to edge his way out into the shot, but he did so into the rocket of Evil. Such good placement from the Russian. Cypher now, he's in a lot of trouble. Evil going to pick up the next yellow armor. And if he has a good engagement here over at the red, without many problems, this could start snowballing here for Cypher. But there you go, very good defense there. The grenades from Evil was a nice idea, but the rail really was a huge stop. And here we go, the commitment onto the Mega Health. It is so far away. This is such a huge miss time for Evil. This could be a game costing situation because it gave Cypher a free frag. And Cypher has got to have a grin ear to ear at the moment when he saw a misplay like that from his opponent. This could be the difference. 3 seconds for the red. Cypher's going to drop on it. No challenge really from Evil. He even takes a rail. Cypher's 200. He's got 90 seconds left to tie up the game. This should be so simple for Cypher. Here he goes, around the top level. Does spot his opponent, but just unable to catch him in time. Just trying to play it slow right now. He knows how weak Evil is. And that's some great defensive damage, but what a rail in return. Looking for the pixel, can't find it. Again, looking for the pixel, misses the shot. Evil connects himself though, but the damage doesn't help him that much. Look how stacked Cypher is. After picking up that Mega, he is running like a tank at the moment. Gets the yellow as well. And this is really dangerous for Evil because if he loses a frag, even if there's overtime, he's likely lost the game. He's given up the entire map to survive. He's given up everything to protect this one frag. He's got to keep doing that successfully for 40 seconds. Here comes Cypher. This is really close. Can Cypher hit the shot? He does, but still he needs one more. Can he hit the next rail? He's looking for the shot, darting around the corners. Where is Evil even gone? Through the teleporter he goes, back onto the yellow. There he spots and misses the shot, trying to turn the corner quickly enough to catch Evil with another shot, just turning every single corner. Hits another rail. How is Evil still alive? Rockets are great, but there is the rail frag, and 10 seconds left, and Evil gets the rockets. Cypher's so weak, he might even be able to make the frag, but no. Has to back away. Really hard with the rockets there, but Cypher still has all of his weapons, but that was a really nice rocket. 3-3. We're into overtime, and this is so tight, all because of that rocket play from Evil. It was so sublime, and at this point now, Cypher has to feel like he needs to stabilize. They both want to play this a bit more slowly now. Here is Evil coming in from above. Let's check out his POV. We can see he's actually hurting massively for armor here. He's in a very weak position. This could very well be Cypher's moment on Cure. Last rocket shot there. He needs to replenish that. There you go. Just 50 armor. Evil has to play so defensively right now. It's just unreal. He cannot take a single lick of damage. Nothing can be received. Any bit of damage received until he gets to a kind of a critical mass of around 150 could basically cost him massively. You can't get the time back that you lose when you take the damage. And again, the mistime on the Mega. What's happening to Evil? This is, again, I can't believe this is happening a second time in the same map. A player of this caliber, Cypher just leaves him there. It's like, all right, whatever, I'll take everything that's spawning. And there finally it does spawn. I cannot even believe he survived that. And Cypher maybe feeling sorry for him making a mistime a second time in a row. And again, what is Evil doing? He's late for the red. He's completely, all of his item times in his head, completely offset. He has no idea when anything spawns except Mega now. This is typically one of the most scary situations for a dueler. This is one of the feelings that makes you feel the worst when you're playing a competitive duel and you realize you just mistimed every item, because what that means is every assumption you had about stacks, every assumption you had about control was wrong. And here he's going to find a very nice engagement. He might be able to turn this into something good, but he won't be able to. He loses the lead right before the end of the overtime. And that was a situation where he was like, this fight is just too good to be true. Problem is that he didn't have the stack to do it. And we actually saw a similar situation before where Cypher was, actually Cypher gave up the first kill. And I kind of highlighted it as a mistake because, again, Evil kind of gave him an opportunity. He said, you know, okay, I'm going to be jumping over at Mega. Cypher had like 75 health. And so I was like, I can hit 100% LG, kind of want to do that, but even if it cost him his life. So it was one of those situations where it's like kind of like giving your opponent a fight where he can't really say no. And that's not necessarily something where like, if you gave Cypher the time to think about it, he wouldn't do it. But it's the fact that like your instincts kick in. I mean, in this game, it's so quick, you don't get time to make decisions. Sometimes your instincts just kick in. Your brain is like, oh my God, this is such an awesome fight. I have to take this. And then it kind of goes pear-shaped. But that's 1-1 now. So Cypher barely saving himself. Looked like it was going to be the map for Evil for ages. But Cypher looking really, really good now. And we're moving on to Furious Heights. So this should be a really interesting match as well. Definitely on the edge of my seat for this one. And I hope you guys are enjoying it as well. That was a pretty tight match. Hoping to see more. Here we go, jumping into map number 3 between Cypher and Evil for this grand final. Furious Heights. We got Cypher on the Mega, and you can see he's leaving the Mega up for quite a while there, quite a lot of delay, and for 10 seconds. And this is what I was talking about earlier in the day. There you go, very good rail from Evil. And you got to remember as well, the advantage Evil has is rail. The advantage Cypher has is LG. So it's Evil really maximizing the advantage he had there and preventing Cypher from having a situation where he can use his advantage. Now Evil has the LG and he gets the fight. Even though Cypher takes that red mid fight, Evil did enough damage previously to get the situation he needed to win it. But the problem for Evil is that he doesn't have much armor left over. Cypher did a great job at resetting him, but that rocket was insanely good. And if Cypher goes for the Mega, he's just going to die right now. You have to give a level of respect to Evil that he's going to hit a rail if you jump at an item. Like, he's going to hit that. And so if it's just one rail for you to die, of course you don't do that. So, Evil in a very good position, just, chilling on the upper areas of the map. Using the footsteps to kind of guide him. A little bit too slow there. This could be problematic. Switches to the LG in time though, but Cypher moves back and hits the rail. So more or less even exchange of damage, I should think. So we'll rock in that one frag lead. Mega up on the spot. And Evil leaves it up. So this is an interesting risk here. He's going to go all in, basically. Say, okay, I'm going to take away the red armor, leaving the Mega up, expecting you to kind of be at the red, so I have the opportunity to fall back onto Mega if I want. But it's almost as if Evil entered an empty server, because Evil actually gets the Mega health and the red. And now Cypher has no idea, at least when the Mega is. I don't think he was close enough to hear when that was taken. So you can see the posturing of Cypher now is extremely defensive. And he does manage to get himself that red armor, but the exposed position costs him a lot of health and armor. Typically, when a player leaves every item up, like in the way that Cypher did, it's because he's got no information on the map. And so he defaults to basically what is the word? It's just basically like a fail-safe. It's like, all right, I don't know what's going on, so I'm just going to play from this position. I know that it's safe. It gives me options always to escape, and then see what happens from there. And now he's built himself onto the red armors, and he's actually gotten some great fights going, and now Evil's in a pretty hard position without the armor. And if we can jump over to Cypher, we'll be able to see exactly how he's doing. And there he is. So he's not too ahead of Evil's stack right now. One rail basically makes a massive difference. It cripples one of the two players. That's the Mega for Cypher. Gets the rail, does Evil. And Cypher, he can't really take the fight against Evil. I mean, Evil has control there to like dodge in and out. Cypher's in a much more exposed position. Cypher trying to make his way around. Let's see if he's able to do something here. This is the typical situation. The player takes red, goes for the yellow. And the good players know that it's a very common bait. And it's a very easy way for Cypher to get 100 to 200 damage with rockets. So rather not risk that for the 50 armor you'd gain. And Evil doesn't need the railgun. So he didn't go for that. So Cypher going to make his way into these positions. He's just gaining information. He wants to know what's safe to do. And through the way that he moved around the map, he figured out, of course, that it was safe to drop back for red. That's what all that information told him. And now he's got the red. He's just thinking about items again and also position to make sure that he can have a good, if he catches Evil, that he can have a good fight. And Evil's going to go for this red most certainly. And Cypher, if he gets the damage and can fall back onto the Mega, it's going to go really well. But he decided not to hang around. I have to say, I do love this play from Cypher. He's actually playing very safe right now because he's prioritizing getting an overwhelming stack. He knows that he can get a very, 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 very big stack. It just requires waiting. Some players, they know that once you get to 150, it's really hard to keep like reading the enemy right to evade him, so that when you get that 150 armor, you feel pressured to do something. However, Cypher has the confidence and experience to know what he can do and how long he can stay alive. And he's gotten himself up to 150-200, which is quite an achievement. And there's a nice little rail from Evil, but Cypher's going to have position. Another rail coming from Evil. Can he hit again? Going to switch to the LG. This could go okay for Evil. I mean, he did a decent job there. 2 rails, didn't really take much damage back. And when we consider Cypher has picked up both reds, and Evil's going to take this fight. Pulls out the LG after some great rockets. Cypher's in trouble, a lot of trouble. The red's not going to spawn in time, and he's going to go down. Evil, such an insane play there from him. Building it off of the 2 rails. Deciding to commit after the 2 rails on the lower level to stop Cypher getting the red. Did exactly that, took the red for himself. And that's how important item timing is in this game, positioning. If Cypher had taken that fight 2 seconds later, so the red would spawn on him, he survives and maybe gets the kill himself. But now, Evil has to deal with Cypher, stealing away the red. It's okay though if he hits the rail, and he does. Does he get greedy? Does he go for the next shots? Does, but he hits it. Great play there from Evil to get the frag 3-0 now. Mega's quite far away, and Evil is going to be thinking about getting this yellow before going to red. He doesn't have to jump straight onto red. He can just do damage if he wants to. And you can see that's what he's kind of posturing towards. Maybe walked a bit too far in to the room. And he does get the kill, though. Great LG play. I mean, I always get scared of Cypher's LG, but you can't forget that Evil's got some of the best LG in the business as well. It's a 4-0 now. And systematically, Evil is proving that today he's got a better Furious Heights game. So there goes the steal. What a steal it was. Straight in onto the red. Just skating on by and stealing that away. Taking the frag. It's 3 minutes left now. What is Cypher going to do about this? Definitely Cypher's options are pretty limited. He's got himself all the weapons at least. Got 50 armor. This is very problematic. Evil can just do that. He can just do that. He's got the stack for it. And Cypher does spawn over at the rocket launcher. And it's a bit of a shooting gallery now for Evil, who can just take pot shots at Cypher. I mean, Cypher's trying to dodge his way out of there. And he actually gets the mega health out of that. It's ridiculous that Cypher can do that off of that spawn. But he does manage to do it. And he's going to go for the drop. He's insane. He got the frag somehow and spawned the red. So amazing there from Cypher. Just no other word to describe what just happened. Turning nothing into something. That's what he just did. And here you go. Oh my god, Evil! Fantastic rocket frag there. Oh, that was so good. And 8-1 now after that. And he's going to be able to get the mega off of that too. And I am so sorry for Follow Killer. But this like Cypher knows it's over. Calls the GG, forfeits the remainder of the time. So Evil now goes on to match point in this best of 5 grand final for the 7th Sunday Cup of the winter season. Very well played there from both players, but you got to really hand it to Evil. He's showing some really strong stuff today. And what I really like about what Evil's been doing is just how methodical he is. He lets Cypher, in a lot of situations, he lets Cypher make the moves. He doesn't ever commit too much. He is very aware of how Cypher chooses to get damage. And to be honest, like you can probably watch, let's say, I don't know, 20 Cypher demos and probably find some very common spots where Cypher looks to basically get back in games. Because Cypher does have such an amazing aim, but it is the spots in which he uses it which makes him truly dangerous. And of course, when you put his back against the wall, he can do anything because his raw talent is so strong. But if you can, I mean, you can't account for that. But what you can account for are the ways, the kind of tendencies that he has. It really feels like Evil's has a very good sense of those tendencies. So it's really down to Cypher at this point to turn things around. But it feels like I'm downplaying Cypher a little bit. Absolutely not. I mean, Cypher is incredible. And these guys are really even. At the moment, it feels like Evil has a slight edge, though. So just waiting for the guys to get ready now. It is Lost World, as you can see on the monitor behind me. And this should be a really interesting game. We haven't seen a Lost World today, interestingly. We've seen loads of silence, which is very unusual. I think we saw more silence today than we've seen the rest of the Sunday Cups combined. I think we saw at least 4 matches or something in silence today, which is interesting. But the game is getting ready. Match point now for Evil. Can he 3-1 Cypher?
3.
Can Cypher bring it all the way back?
1.
Here we go.
Fight.
So machine gun chicken at the start there. It's going to be Cypher that drops away onto the Mega Health there. Very nice machine gun there from Evil. 61%. It's always a nice percentage to have. And he's going to... Oh, that rocket was very good. That's going to be very painful now for Evil. For Cypher to deal with that. And that's one of the common spots that Cypher looks for, the LG. And 30 seconds in now, and Evil's only got 60 armor. Very, very good damage by Cypher. Wow! Unbelievable. I cannot even fathom how Evil managed to do that. I mean, Cypher's damage output was really, really perfect there. But Evil knew just exactly how much stack that Cypher had. And that was just purely stack reading. That was like he read the stacks very well, and he was able to say, okay, I know I can hit this much. And he went for it and he got it. Now he's pushing Cypher back a bit. Cypher trying to eke out as much damage as possible, like switching to the machine gun in the spots when he can. And taking nasty bits of splash damage there from Evil, though. And it seems as if we might have a situation where Evil's going to start being the player that's really running Lost World at the start of the game here. So there you go, does pick up the Mega Health. So really, really good stuff there from Evil off the start. Cypher, what's he going to do? We should really... Oh, nasty, nasty stuff there. Evil catching Cypher, moving towards that yellow. Nasty string of lightning gun work right there, taking him down. Pick up of the red. Evil is definitely in such a good spot. Oh, if only he'd had the LG out there. Could have been a very dead Cypher. He goes in, though, and he doesn't have enough cells to finish him off. But there you go. Switches to the rocket in time. Does have the Mega to save him. If the Mega was a bit delayed, would have been really troublesome. But look at this. Rocket jumping up. He wants to steal away as much as possible. He knows that red is pretty impossible for Cypher to drop onto. And Cypher, he's going to run out of rockets eventually. And he's probably quite low on rockets now, as it's unlikely he had more than 10. That's one of the situations where you can kind of count rockets, and he probably picked up the 5-pack over here as well. So 4-0 at this moment, and look at this. Evil wants to catch Cypher, because what Cypher would like to do with that? Oh, but Cypher was actually on the Mega Health all the while. So Evil now on 2 health. And I can explain what was happening there. Evil was thinking that Cypher wouldn't be in a position where he would feel like he could go for the Mega directly, which is what he did, of course. But so the other option that Cypher has is to get the Mega time by peeking in. And the most common way to do that is to drop down that jump pad where Evil was waiting. So it's really smart for Evil to make that move, but even better as Cypher to just go for the Mega. And here you go. Evil defending with the plasma. Ridiculous plasma right there. 64% plasma gun. Oh my god, that is some damage right there. At 20 damage per bullet, that is so sick. And Cypher gonna just put it right back there with the rockets and calm things down. But it is still 5-2. Oh! Oh my goodness. Cypher gets a trip, courtesy of Evil, right into the lava. There goes Evil. Wow, nasty rockets from Cypher. I mean, these guys, the damage output is just mind-blowing. It's astounding, really. 6-2, though, and Evil in a very fragile position. Cypher should realize this. He should realize his options aggressively right now. You can hear the ammo pack taken there. And Evil knows exactly where Cypher is. So Evil, I mean, he's still lacking that health. The 50 is there. So he seems reluctant to go for it, though. Doesn't want to be so exposed on the map just yet. Waiting for this very safe 50 bubble instead. There you go, Cypher below. Evil knows where he is now. With that information, he might be able to kind of trap Cypher and like shut him out of some items. Stealing away one yellow there. we're getting into the halfway point here, and remember, this is Evil's match point now. Cypher is definitely in a world of trouble. 4 frags behind. Evil's got a nice stack to his name. This is hard damage to take. Cypher goes for the drop. I can't believe it. Evil does make the kill, and of course he does. Crazy drop from Cypher, and now Evil's 200, 150. He has the time on pretty much every item on the map. He's taken everything, and he can just rocket jump up there if he wants to into the LG of Cypher and still get the kill. Not going to do it though. It's not really a good move for the long term. Very good play there from Evil with the rocket jump, the delayed rocket jump there. I think Cypher had thought that he'd moved on, but that's not the case. Now, 6-2. Let's try to get some Cypher time on the cam and see how he's going to be handling this. Of course, he just died there off the spawn. What can he do? 7 frags of difference. This is getting out of hand rapidly, so Cypher going to have the LG and yellow to work with. Red is always an option here, but Evil just catching him off here, and it didn't even seem like Cypher tried to stop that damage from happening. And trying to get any bit of damage out there that he can for free. And this is so difficult for Cypher. Avoiding damage here can be quite difficult. 2 health, no, -5, and that was it. 10-2 now. Evil is just running the show. He is absolutely running the show right now. And it's hard to see how Cypher can bring this back from this position. With 4 minutes left, he's 8 frags down, and Evil's still running the map. That is the first step. The first box to tick is to usurp Evil's control, his dominance of the map. Throw him off his throne on Lost World. And once you've done that, you can think about how you can make the frags back. But first, that is the question. That very first kill, and Evil's still running the big items here. Luckily for Cypher, although well played from Cypher, managing to steal away the red armor. It's going to be a huge boon. And what can he use it for though? Evil's still running a huge stack. And you can see Cypher kind of stuck there, losing a lot of the armor, trying to make it happen with the plasma gun. Unfortunately, that wasn't enough. Unless you got 64% plasma gun, you got to get out of town, says Evil. 9 frags now, 3 minutes. And Cypher is getting worse and worse for him. There you go. Mega health picked up. So what did Cypher get out of that? He got the item time. Gonna drop towards this red armor. It's not for ages. Oh, the direct grenade, adding insult to injury. And there you go. There's a quick finish with the rocket. Almost too easy. 10 frags. This is basically like Sesame Street at this point. 9 frags, 10 frags. I wish I could be the count, but I am not, sadly. But 13-2 now. Things are looking ever worse for Cypher. And I think he realizes that at this point there is no return. There's no way back on this map against this player. Not today. Not whilst Evil still has a keyboard and mouse and a monitor that's turned on. So at this point, we've got to start thinking about. I think people should really go back and look at some of the games that Evil played. I mean, Cure, of course, that was like a fantastic game. Furious Heights was pretty awesome as well. But I think Cure was definitely my favorite out of the matches these two played. Cure and Blood Run were both fantastic matches, and I think it was very well illustrated on Cure, Blood Run, and Furious Heights how Evil was able to avoid a lot of bad situations that Cypher can put you under, and that's really something quite awesome to watch. I mean, he managed to keep the scoreline so close through doing so, but equally so. I mean, Cypher manages to somehow find stack in the most ridiculous positions against someone like Evil, and that in of itself is worth analysis as well, because I mean, how does he manage to so successfully make his stack back out of control against Evil on these maps. I mean, that's really impressive that he has the experience to do that. He's throwing out the well played congratulations. Indeed, well played congratulations in order for Evil. Mad props to the man who, I mean, he played so fantastically, absolutely deserved this win. And Cypher definitely finding himself coming out short again against Evil. So, I mean, the jury is out, guys. What do you think? I mean, you got to start the discussions on this, and I want to see on ES Reality some discussions at least on what people think about the whole Cypher Evil clash at the moment, you know, what's going on there. But remember, guys, we're going to play the DreamHack Quake Live movie right now, basically. So I'm going to start yabbering on. So thanks very much for watching, guys. Enjoy the DreamHack 2013 Winter movie here for Quake Live, and I'll see you next time. Thanks so much.